In the vast, cold darkness of the outer solar system, where the sun is just a distant pinpoint of light, Neptune drifts in silent majesty. This ice giant, the eighth and most distant official planet from our sun, is a world of extremes, a planet of supercharged winds, icy clouds, and deep, cobalt blue mystery. It's a planet we've only visited once, and even then, only in passing. Orbiting this frozen giant are a family of moons, most small and irregular, faint shadows that echo Neptune's ancient past. But among them is one that stands apart, one that defies the rules of planetary science, one that behaves so strangely, it's as if it doesn't belong there at all. That moon is Triton, a world larger than Pluto, colder than dry ice, and more geologically active than anyone expected. Triton is not just Neptune's largest moon. It's one of the most enigmatic objects in the entire solar system. Captured, inverted, alive. Its very existence raises questions that scientists are still racing to answer. And today, we journey into its secrets. Most moons orbit in harmony with the planet they circle. They follow the same direction as their planet's rotation, a graceful synchrony that reflects a shared origin, both born from the same swirling cloud of gas and dust billions of years ago. But Triton doesn't follow this pattern. Triton orbits backward, in what's known as a retrograde orbit, the only large moon in our solar system to do so. It travels against Neptune's rotation, moving the wrong way around its planet. This isn't just an unusual curiosity, it's a red flag in planetary science. Because retrograde motion isn't natural in a co-formed system. It's evidence of something more dramatic. Triton wasn't born near Neptune. It was captured, likely pulled in from the distant Kuiper Belt, a vast reservoir of icy bodies at the edge of the solar system. And capturing a moon as large and massive as Triton isn't easy. It would have taken an incredible event, perhaps a violent gravitational encounter involving a binary system, two objects orbiting each other, where Triton's partner was ejected and Triton fell into Neptune's grasp. But this capture came at a cost. The process would have been immensely destabilizing. Neptune's original moons, if it had any at the time, may have been sent careening out of orbit or destroyed entirely. The aftermath of Triton's arrival likely reshaped the entire Neptunian system. Triton didn't just join the family, it took over. To truly grasp Triton's story, we have to journey even further back to the Kuiper Belt. This distant region beyond Neptune is filled with ancient, icy remnants from the formation of the solar system. Dwarf planets like Pluto, Eris, and Haumea reside there, along with countless smaller bodies. Triton was likely one of them, a fully formed world with its own complex geology, atmosphere, and perhaps even moons of its own. Then something changed. A gravitational encounter, maybe with Neptune, or another giant planet, or even another Kuiper Belt object, altered its course forever. Triton found itself on a trajectory that brought it into Neptune's gravitational influence. The most accepted theory is that Triton was once part of a binary system, two dwarf planets orbiting one another, like Pluto and its moon Charon. When the pair passed too close to Neptune, one was flung into interstellar space, and Triton was captured, a cosmic trade-off that left Triton tethered to a new master. But this wasn't an easy transition. The gravitational forces involved would have pulled on Triton's interior, generating immense tidal heating, friction that can melt rock and ice alike. In fact, that ancient heating may still shape Triton's interior today. It was during this period of violence that Triton likely became what it is now, geologically active, internally warm, and fundamentally altered. It was a dwarf planet transformed into a moon, but it never quite stopped being a world of its own. In 1989, Voyager 2 gave us our first, and so far, only, close look at Triton. What it found astonished scientists. Instead of a frozen, cratered wasteland like most distant moons, Triton was alive, active, changing. Voyager captured plumes of gas erupting from the surface, great geysers of nitrogen, stretching 8 kilometers into space. These weren't random bursts. They were orderly, sustained, and widespread, indicating a controlled source of internal heat. This activity suggested something unexpected. Beneath Triton's icy crust may lie a subsurface ocean, kept warm not by sunlight, but by gravitational flexing from Neptune's pull. That warmth, combined with antifreeze-like chemicals such as ammonia, could keep water in liquid form far below the surface. This makes Triton part of a rare club, along with moons like Europa and Enceladus, that may have habitable environments beneath their frozen exteriors. In a world with no sunlight, life, if it exists, would have to rely on chemosynthesis, a process where microbes convert chemicals from the seafloor into energy. We don't know what's down there, but the very idea that a moon, billions of kilometers from Earth, could hide an ocean and possibly life is a revelation. It is dominated by smooth plains, fractured ridges, and enormous frozen fields. Surprisingly few impact craters scar the surface, meaning it is relatively young, being actively reshaped over time. This is rare for icy moons, especially one as distant and cold as Triton. Perhaps the most bizarre region is known as Cantaloupe Terrain, a lumpy, undulating patch that looks almost organic. The terrain seems to ripple across the surface in bulbous ridges and deep depressions, and scientists still don't know exactly how it formed. Some believe it's the result of slow-moving convection within the crust. Others suggest tectonic stress or resurfacing from internal heat. Triton is also home to massive icy volcanoes, potential lava flows made of water, and deep trenches that stretch for hundreds of kilometers. These features hint at ongoing geological activity, fueled by internal heat and past tidal stresses. And then there's the atmosphere. Thin, hazy, and made mostly of nitrogen, Triton's atmosphere is in constant flux. Seasonal changes, driven by Triton's tilted axis and elliptical orbit, may thicken and thin the atmosphere over time and possibly affect surface pressure and the formation of clouds. Despite its small size, Triton feels like a world, complex, evolving, and active in ways we're only beginning to understand. Voyager 2 only captured about 40% of Triton's surface, and that was from a single flyby. The rest remains unexplored, unseen, unknown. No mission has returned since, but that may change in the coming decades. NASA's proposed Triton mission would send a spacecraft to fly by Triton again, this time with modern instruments capable of mapping the entire moon, detecting magnetic fields, analyzing surface composition, and searching for signs of a subsurface ocean. Triton would be fast, efficient, and high impact, potentially revealing more about Triton in hours than Voyager did in days. But Triton is more than a curiosity. It's a Rosetta Stone for understanding other icy worlds. A captured dwarf planet that may reflect what countless objects in the Kuiper Belt are like, far-off relics of planetary formation, rich in ice, rock, and maybe life-supporting chemistry. By studying Triton, we don't just learn about one moon. We learn about how worlds evolve, how planetary systems change over time, and where life might arise in the universe. It shouldn't orbit backward. It shouldn't be geologically active. It shouldn't have geysers or an atmosphere or hints of a hidden ocean. And yet it does. Triton breaks the mold. It refuses to fit the rules of what a moon is supposed to be. It's a captured rogue, a frozen enigma, a planetary survivor orbiting a distant giant. And it may be one of the most important destinations in our quest to understand the solar system and our place within it.